I'm a man, and by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and you know they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but you know the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger. There are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
This isn't a trade dispute. It's leverage, disguised as policy. Here's what just happened. U.S. President Trump publicly floated tariff threats against NATO partners in a dispute linked to Greenland. Washington made the signal. Denmark is at the center of the issue. Other allied capitals are watching closely. Listen to this.
The European Union supports Denmark and the people of Greenland, and we do so united in our resolve. The measures threatened over the weekend by the United States administration will not help improve security in the Arctic. In fact, they risk the opposite. Greenland and Denmark have both made clear that Greenland is not for sale and that their sovereignty and territorial integrity needs to be respected. That fact will not change.
And the shift is simple, but seismic. Tariffs were framed as political enforcement, not traditional trade policy. Now, why does this matter? Because it changes the rules of alliance behavior. If tariffs become a tool for territorial leverage, then market access becomes a pressure valve inside NATO. Now, quick scoreboard. Who wins and who loses right now? The quiet, structural winner could be Canada, because when large markets clash, buyers and investors look for stable substitutes. The immediate losers are U.S. exporters exposed to European retaliation, agriculture, autos, machinery, and the cohesion of the alliance itself. The immediate risks are price shocks, supply chain reroutes, and political backlash inside allied capitals. Now let's name the mechanism, because this is the key. This is tariffs used as enforcement. The toolkit is targeted tariffs, procurement restrictions, and regulatory friction. And why does it work? Asymmetry. Market access is leverage. If a country depends on your market, tariffs become a blunt way to force political choices. The effect is to turn policy disagreements into obedience tests. Pay the political price or pay the economic one. Now, what happens next? Europe has three broad paths. Path 1. Symbolic retaliation. Targeted tariffs on politically sensitive U.S. goods. Path 2. Broader retaliation. Wider tariff coverage and tougher regulatory barriers. Path 3. Systemic retaliation. The long game, reducing reliance on the U.S. and building strategic alternatives. Businesses won't wait for diplomats. Businesses will pause investment, reroute suppliers, and hedge contracts. Governments will consider reciprocal tariffs, procurement realignment, and strategic stockpiles. In the near term, symbolic retaliation is the most likely. Broader retaliation is plausible if threats harden. Systemic retaliation is slower, but it rises every time coercion becomes normalized. Now here's where Canada enters the story. When two giants tariff each other, buyers look for substitutes. Europe looks for non-US suppliers. The US looks for non-EU inputs. Canada sits in the middle as a calm, high-trust alternative with proximity, capacity, and existing ties. So trade diversion follows. Agricultural substitution. Rerouted supply chains. Contracts shifting towards stability. Then investment diversion follows. Firms expand operations or route activity through Canada to reduce friction and uncertainty. And there's a political spillover too. A Washington consumed by an EU fight can become a softer or more distracted negotiator elsewhere. That can create incremental leverage for Canada on North American files. Not dramatic wins, small gains, but gains that compound. Now, the warning. Canada's gains aren't risk-free. A US-EU tariff spiral can disrupt the same supply chains Canada depends on. If Canada benefits too visibly, Washington can push back. And once Greenland enters the conversation, the Arctic becomes a strategic arena, whether Canada wants it or not. Zoom out, and the deeper consequence is moral and structural. When tariffs pressure allies over territory, the rules-based order stops being a constraint and starts sounding like a slogan. Spheres of influence return, but with 21st century tools. Tariffs, sanctions, procurement control, regulatory choke points. Now, the trad economics verdict. The story isn't the tariff, it's the precedent. If economic coercion inside alliances becomes normal, alliances shift from guarantees to calculations. And the real loss is trust. Because trust is the currency of alliances. So here's the question. If tariffs can be used to pressure allies over territory, what's left of the rules-based order besides a slogan? Tell me which consequence worries you most: economic pain, alliance erosion, or an Arctic scramble, and why? Subscribe for weekly trad economics briefings, short, sharp, and actionable. And watch next, how supply chains reroute when markets close and what exporters should watch. This is Trad Economics. See you in the next.